There's a photograph from the year 2000 that the internet has decided is the most expensive mistake in corporate history. A scrappy, money-losing startup called Netflix walks into Blockbuster's Dallas headquarters and offers to sell itself for $50 million. Blockbuster's CEO has to suppress a laugh. He says no, and every business article you've ever read points at this room and says, there it is. That's the moment they died. They're wrong. Not slightly wrong. Completely wrong. And the truth of what actually killed Blockbuster is far more disturbing, because it isn't a story about a man who couldn't see the future. It's a story about a company that did see the future, built the machine to win it, and then a small group of powerful men strangled that machine to death in a boardroom. Not because of technology, but because of 4 predictable glitches in the human brain. This is the story of how being right gets you fired. 4 psychological traps. And by the end, you'll recognize at least one of them operating inside your own life. Let's defend the man everyone blames, because nobody else will. In the year 2000, turning down Netflix was rational. Netflix was a mail-order DVD company bleeding cash, dependent on the postal service in an era when most people's internet still screamed at them when it connected. Blockbuster had 9,000 stores, 60 million members, and a brand so dominant that let's get a Blockbuster was a verb. So the death didn't happen in that room. It happened 7 years later, triggered by commitment bias and a brutal ego war between 2 billionaires who hated losing more than they wanted to win. Phase 1. People assume Blockbuster failed to see streaming. They saw it fine. The real question is, why couldn't they bring themselves to build it? The answer has a name: loss aversion. Behavioral economics proves something durable about the human mind. We do not weigh gains and losses equally. The pain of losing $100 is roughly twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining 100. We are not built to optimize. We are built to avoid loss. Now look at the books. In the year 2000, late fees accounted for $800 million, about 16% of the company's entire revenue, a separate river of nearly free money flowing in from human forgetfulness. Here's the trap. To build streaming, you have to kill the late fee. The whole appeal of the new model is watch what you want, no deadlines, no punishment. So picture the board meeting. Someone stands up and says, the future is a model where we voluntarily set fire to 16% of our revenue. Every neuron in that room screams no, not because they're stupid, because the brain processes a guaranteed immediate loss as a kind of organizational death. And the cruelest detail, they knew customers hated the fees. Surveys screamed it. But loss aversion doesn't care what customers feel. It cares about what you are about to lose. Blockbuster was addicted to the very thing its customers despised, and like any addict, they couldn't quit even while it was killing them. But then someone in that building actually beat the addiction. Phase 2, 2006. Blockbuster does the thing everyone says it never did. It launches Total Access. And it was genuinely brilliant. You rent a movie online, Netflix style, mailed to your door. Then, instead of mailing it back, you walk into a physical Blockbuster, hand it over, and swap it for a free in-store rental on the spot. It fused the one thing Netflix had, mail convenience, with the one thing Netflix could never have: 9,000 stores on every corner in America. It worked. Blockbuster was adding subscribers by the thousands every single day. And over at Netflix, this is not speculation. They were genuinely scared. For the first time, the giant had figured it out, and the giant's version was better. Blockbuster was winning. So why are you watching a video about their downfall? Because winning had a price tag. To fund Total Access, the company had to spend heavily. Short-term profits dipped. The investment was working. The subscriber numbers proved it, but the quarterly earnings looked ugly. And ugly earnings attract a particular kind of predator. Enter Carl Icahn, a legendary activist investor, corporate raider, a man whose entire career was built on forcing companies to cough up cash. Icahn looked at Blockbuster and his brain did what all our brains do: status quo bias, the deep assumption that a thing's current form is its true form. He didn't see a company mid-transformation. He saw a video rental chain with valuable real estate and a profitable late fee engine that some CEO was foolishly spending down on an internet gamble. He couldn't read the data because the data contradicted what his gut already knew. And here the individual bias became something worse. Boardrooms are perfect breeding grounds for groupthink, valuing internal harmony over the uncomfortable truth in front of them. The tribe closed ranks. The coup succeeded. In 2007, they fired the one executive who had actually solved the puzzle, while his solution was beating Netflix. Total access didn't fail in the market. It was assassinated in a conference room. Phase 3. With the visionary gone, the board installed a new CEO, a genuinely brilliant retail operator who understood physical stores at a molecular level. That was the problem. He was trapped in functional fixedness, the inability to see a thing doing anything other than the job it has always done. Hand someone a hammer and they see a tool for nails. Their expertise narrows their vision. Right at the edge of the cliff, he says it out loud in public. I've been frankly confused by this fascination that everybody has with Netflix. They don't do anything that we can't do ourselves. This is the curse of knowledge in its purest, most lethal form. Because Blockbuster had masterfully dominated physical retail for 20 years, its leaders believed that past competence guaranteed future relevance. Their expertise didn't just fail to help them, it actively blinded them. So he did the unthinkable. He pulled money out of the digital business and poured it back into building more physical stores. He didn't just stand still. He sprinted, and with conviction and total confidence, directly into the past. The final break. By the time the board understood the real estate strategy was leading into a ghost town, the math was already a corpse. Roughly $1 billion in debt, no cash reserves, and streaming had arrived for real, but now there was no money left to build the servers. In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. The same year, Netflix's stock began the climb that would make it worth hundreds of billions. So let's bury the myth properly. Blockbuster did not die because one man laughed at a startup in 2000. And it did not die because a mail-order DVD company out-engineered them. It didn't. Blockbuster out-engineered Netflix. They built the better machine. They died because of a chain of entirely human failures, each one with a name. Loss aversion chained them to a revenue stream their own customers hated. Status quo bias, amplified into boardroom groupthink, executed the one leader who'd found the way out. And the curse of knowledge convinced his replacement that 2 decades of being right meant he couldn't possibly be wrong now. An insulated tribe of powerful, intelligent people chose internal political consensus and short-term comfort over an uncomfortable, disruptive truth sitting right in front of them, in their own subscriber numbers. The blue and yellow signs didn't vanish from your streets because of technology. They vanished because of human hubris. And the most unsettling part, every one of those biases is running right now in every organization you've ever worked for, including possibly yours.